Hello class, welcome to week 7 of Windows Administration. So for this week, this is our last week before summer or spring break. So just a reminder, next week we will not have any assignments due. We won't have any like videos, like YouTube videos. We'll continue our class the week after. So this is the final week before spring break. So for this week we have Lab 8, configuring SMB and NFS file shares. It's a lot. It's very similar to last week's lab, um, only because I think this lab kind of bridges the gap between last week's chapter and this week's chapter. I know this week's chapter had to do with printing, but file sharing is also, uh, there is a connection, so like you can share files between one another, just how you can share printers between one another. So that's kind of where the connection comes from. So I have lab 8 in front of me. Task 1, create an SMB share. So we did create SMB shares in the previous lab as well, so I'll get my machine up. They do want you to connect to plab DC01. So server manager should be open, the dashboard's in front of me. On the left hand side they say click file storage and services, so it's this last one. Then they want us to click on shares, which is on the left hand panel. So on files shares, under the volume section click tasks. So where was the volume section? So this, click tasks and new share. So let's find tasks, new volume. New share. Okay. So step 4, on the new share wizard, select the profile for this share. Select the profile for this shared page is displayed. File share profile, select SMB share quick. Okay, it's already highlighted. Click next. Step 5, under the share location section, which is right here, verify select by volume option is selected, which it is. Select the C drive and click next. Okay, so on the specify share name, in the share text box type corp data, and notice that the local path to share and remote path to share text boxes are automatically filled with the required information. Click next. On the configure share settings page, select enable access based enumeration. So enable access based enumeration. Do I get rid of this? No, I keep this. Okay, so hit next. Step 8, on the specify permissions to control access page, click customize permissions. So we'll click on that. On the advanced security settings for corp data, click add. On the permissions entry for corp data, select a principal web link. So select a principal. Okay. And then here they want us to enter in the object name, so domain users. I'm just going to write it the same way I see it. Okay, you could always do check name, so that just makes sure that that user, that object exists in the domain. So say I typed it in wrong and I did check name, it wouldn't underline it as it did for me. Because it underlined it and it changed its capitalization of certain words, that just means that this user does exist in the domain, and this is how the user is specifically specified in the domain. That's all it is. So this check names box is always really helpful. So do OK. So back on the entry or permission entry for corp data, under the basic permissions, select or enable the modify checkbox. So we'll just click on modify. And it also enables write because modify allows the user to write. And then we'll do OK. Okay, so press OK here as well. And then we'll press next here. Okay, step 15, we're going to press create. And we'll, okay, so the share was successfully created. Great. View the results, indicate the share was successfully created, click close. Step 17, you will be directed back to the Server Manager File and Storage Services Shares window, which is where we're currently at. Keep this window open. Okay, so that's task 1. Really simple. All we did was create an SMB share. We set certain permissions to that share so that domain users can actually write to it, write to the contents of the share. So like say I had that share exists on the domain and I have a bunch of Word documents inside of it. So any domain user, because we gave them permissions, can open up that specific Word document and change the content. So like they could write stuff, and then they could save that Word document, and that new updated Word document that exists in that share is visible to everyone. So all the changes that were made are now visible to everyone, and other domain users can make their own changes to those documents. That's really all we did for that. So for task 2, we're going to install server for NFS feature. Okay, so connect to plab demo1, which is the second machine on my list. So I'm just going to power it on. It should take a second. And as soon as it opens up, Server Manager should open by default. And they want us to open up Windows PowerShell. So just give it a second. Okay, it should be on. And I'm going to open up Windows PowerShell, and it looks like I'm going to enter in this command. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that onto my clipboard, because I plan on pasting it inside of here. So PowerShell. Okay, so to paste it, I have my clipboard, my web clipboard right here. I'm going to Control V. So I paste this command into my web clipboard, press send twice, and then here I'm just going to write, okay, I messed it up. So press send twice and then immediately right click into this, and that way it pastes into your PowerShell, and then you can press enter. And collecting data, okay, so this is good. This is what we want. Please wait while file server and NFS features are being added. So it's installing those. So on step 4, once this does finish, we're going to close PowerShell. It's not going to, yeah, it does give us a message that says either successful or unsuccessful. Okay, success. So I can close this now. So that's it for task 2. Just one single PowerShell command. So for task 3, we're going to create an NFS share. So we created an SMB share first. In task 1, this is an NFS share. So NFS is another example of file level access protocol supported by Windows. Works the same as SMB for managing shared folders and files hosted on Windows computers. So they just give you a brief overview of what NFS is. So step 1, they want us to connect to plab demo1, which is what we're currently on. The dashboard should be up. Click on File and Storage Services. So it's probably going to be a lot like what we just did. So they want us to click on Servers, and then they want us to click on Shares. So let me see if I can find Shares. Click Shares. This. Um, see shares. Maybe I have to scroll down. Roles and features. No. I forget what I clicked on last time to get shares to show up. Maybe it was in volumes and then it was... No, that's new volume. Disk. New volume. Storage. New storage pool. Let me go back to task 1. It's definitely something that I clicked on to get that shares to come up. Okay, so on file and storage. Into the volume selection, click task. Oh, it was this. Okay. The new share should be this, right? But it doesn't allow me to click on it. Add new roles. Okay. Am I on the right machine? Let's see, go up a little bit. We're still on task 3. Okay, so under the share section, there is PLAB DMO1 ensure is open. Click file and storage services. Oh, okay, I had to refresh it, I guess. And here shares, and then I can go to new share. Okay, so if you guys do run into the issue where you don't get these last 3 options, just do the refresh shares up here, or refresh button, and I guess it shows up. Yeah, it was weird. I was like, why am I missing those things? Okay, so under shares, we can do task, we can do new share. Under step 3, we can do, okay, that's new share. Step 4, we're going through the wizard. Select the profile for this share. Select NFS Share quick. So we're changing it. Next. Under the select by volume, click the D drive, so the second one, click next. Okay, so we're gonna name this Linux folder 1, and we can do next. So step 7, we have to enable Kerberos v5 authentication, which is this one. And that's all they want for now, so I'll do next. They want us to specify the share permissions page, so click add. They want us to do all machines, and under the share permissions drop box, click on read writes, and then we can do add, and then next, and then click add, and then here click next, and then click create. Okay. View the results, created successfully. We can close this. And they said keep this open. Okay, so view share information using Windows PowerShell. So there are various methods of viewing shared folders in Windows, such as File Explorer. So File Explorer is this. Computer Management, Shares, and Server Manager. Okay, so step one, ensure you are connected to PLAB DMO1, which we are. The Server Manager window is open. They want us to click on Tools and then select Windows PowerShell. So do that. Simple enough. We'll get Windows PowerShell. Okay. So on the Windows PowerShell window, to view the NFS Share, type get NFS Share. Okay. So we have our Linux folder 1 that we just created, the NTFS, was it the NTFS? NFS Share that we just created on this machine. So that's that. Press enter. Okay, so step 3, the Linux folder 1 share you created earlier is displayed on the prompt. To get details about Linux 1 folder or Linux folder 1, type the following. So I'm going to type get NFS share. I spelled NFS wrong. NFS share space Linux folder 1 space okay. That looks like an L to me. And press enter. Okay. So press enter. We command to get further details about the share. Okay. So this is the details about that specific share. They're displayed. Okay. So yeah, we got the right screen that they wanted. On the next prompt, to enumerate the SMB share, which is the first share that we created, we have to type get SMB share. Okay. The list of shared folders is displayed. You will now reset the proxy environment in Windows so you can use the local connection. Type the following command. Okay. So current Win proxy settings, direct access. So there's no proxy server anymore. So in step 6, to get details about the SMB shared folders on the remote computer, type that command. So that command's a little bit more complex, so I am going to put it in my clipboard and press send. Okay, paste it. I'm going to press enter. Okay. So the above command will set variable SMB for this commandlet. New sim session for the remote computer. Press enter. Okay. On the next prompt, to view the SMB shares, type. I'm gonna copy and paste this as well. Okay. So the shared folders of PLAB DC01 server are displayed, which are these shared folders. Keep Windows PowerShell window open. So step 9, we're going to go to the user computer. So we have to turn that on. It's the very last machine on our list. Right click. Okay, so once it does power on, they do want us to open up PowerShell on that specific end user computer. So it's not a server. All the rest of these are servers. This is the user computer. So it did turn on. Just going to open it up, and then as soon as it turns on, I am going to open up PowerShell. So I just right click this, get PowerShell, great. So they do want us to type in this command to map the network drive of corp data to this computer. So I am just going to Control V, okay, press enter. Command completed successfully, so that's great. Close the Windows PowerShell window. Okay, so step 12, they want us to connect to PLAB DMO1, which was the second machine we were on. So I already have it open. The Windows PowerShell is open. They want us to click or enter this PowerShell command. Okay. Great. So step 13, notice that a connection is open from 192.168.0.6, which is the end user computer of plab win 10. So that means that computer is accessing our shared uh, folder, the SMB shared folder. So on step 14, to get additional details about the connection opened by the specific user, in this case it was the administrator account on plab win10 that accessed our shared folder. To get additional information on that specific user, they want us to enter in this PowerShell command. So I'm just going to copy and paste that in. Okay, so these are the specific details of that user. The client username is domain practice labs and then user administrator. We have their IP address, SMB instance is default, show computer name true. Let's see what else. And the rest is kind of like, okay, so this is the computer name right here, and then the rest is kind of like computer stuff, like computer details that aren't really important for us. So on step 15, the details of the SMB session are displayed. Close the PowerShell window. I didn't forget anything here, right? Okay, no. So that's that. So for task 5, they want us to turn off legacy SMB1 protocol. So we have to go back to plab DC01, which is our domain controller. They want us to launch PowerShell and enter in this command, which I am just going to paste on clipboard, send it through, enter. Okay. And okay, SMB configuration for different settings are displayed. On the next prompt to turn off SMB protocol, SMB1 protocol, they want us to enter in this command, so I'm going to also paste that in. And I believe it's yes. Okay. And default is Y. Okay, so SMB protocol has been successfully turned off. They don't give a message saying so, but that's fine. We can take the screenshot, great, and move on to the next page. Okay, so the next page is just the questions on what we just did. So like question 6, you have created an NFS share. Which of the following PowerShell commands will allow you to view the view the NFS share? So from my memory, I believe it was this one. I can double check. Yep, okay. And then for question 5, you are installing NFS and file server using the following command in PowerShell. The installation of file server and NFS features is taking longer than usual, and PowerShell does not seem to be refreshing the status. What should you do to refresh the PowerShell window? Okay, so it's not the last one. Click inside the PowerShell window and press enter. Nope. I believe it was press F5 and then press enter. I believe it was Control C. We'll see. Press enter. Okay, so it is this option, the third option. Okay, what does Control C do? I believe it closes the PowerShell. Control C. Okay. Let me open a PowerShell on my computer. Oh, okay, it doesn't really do anything. Okay, good to know. So question 4, using the new share wizard, you want to use a profile for creating a share. You want to share files with Unix-based computers in quickest manner. Which profile should you use in this case? Okay, so I believe it was NFS Share Quick. Okay, yeah. Using the new share wizard, you want to use a profile for creating a share. You want to share files with Windows-based computers in the quickest manner. Which profile should you click? It was this. Great. Question 2. While configuring a share using Server Manager, you enable access-based enumeration, which we did. What would your reason be for enabling this? So either provide the lowest level permissions to a user by default, enable same level of permissions across all shares for user, display file to user. So I would say was this option? Okay, no. Permission to access user must have at least read access to view the folder, else any folder. Else any folder in which the user does not have read access is automatically hidden. So it's the third option. Because the user requires at least read access to view the folder. If they don't have read access, then this folder, whichever folder has access-based enumeration enabled on it, will be hidden from the user. So I would say it's the third option here, because it's definitely not the second. I clicked on the first and that's wrong. And the fourth, by enable access by default by looking at the usage pattern. So yeah, the four is wrong too. So it is three. So the third option, first option, fourth option. These two were basically from the lab that we just did. This is interpreting one of the commands that we did enter. We did enable access-based enumeration. They just want you to know. They want to kind of like expand on that idea, like what was the purpose of what we did, and the purpose is to have that shared folder shown to users on the domain that have specific read, at least minimum read access to that folder. And if they don't have read access to that folder, it's hidden from them. And you saw that we did play around with certain access for users, like we enabled modify access for domain users across our SMB share that we created. So that would give all domain users access to that folder, like it won't hide it from them. So that was that. These two were just like when we were going through the share wizard, we either, for the first one, for the SMB share we created, we use SMB share quick, and then for the NFS share we created, we use NFS share quick, and then for this was kind of just saying, this is kind of specific to how to handle PowerShell windows that are lagging or like taking too long to process, which we haven't really ran into yet. But they say that the best way to do so is to click inside the PowerShell, so make sure you're inside of it, and then press enter. That way, kind of, I guess it does make sense where it does cause a refresh because it's creating a new line on the left hand side. So like you're seeing PS and then the path. So I'm in the C drive, users, and user administrator. So it is kind of refreshing the PowerShell window by doing that. So that does make sense. And then question 6, they're just saying, okay, you've created the NFS share, which was one of the last things we did for the lab. Which PowerShell command will you use to view the NFS share? And I just remembered off the top of my head that this was the syntax that we wrote, because I believe I typed that. And the reason it's not the second one is because there's no space between NFS and share. This is just, it's missing share, and then this I already know that it begins with get. It doesn't begin with view. So that's kind of why I knew that. And then, once you're done with that, once you answer the questions, just click on submit report, and then click on done right here, and then you are done. And so yeah, this was a very quick lab compared to last week's lab. It's just a little bit more practice with creating shares, viewing shares within PowerShell, and then mapping out those specific shares to users, which is what we did for this user. So like if I go to File Explorer, so here's my share. So corp data was the original SMB share that we created at the very beginning of this lab, and this user now has access to that share. Now, as far as the contents of the share, I I don't believe we created anything, so that's kind of why it's empty. But they have access to it. They mapped it themselves through PowerShell, and they have access to it. So that was kind of the point of this lab. And you're going to kind of see that in the corporate environment as well, where certain shares are shared to certain user groups based on what that user might require to do their job. And that share can contain, like I said, Word documents, Excel documents, PDFs that are specific to their job. And that's basically all this lab is. So, relatively short video, and that's really it for week 7. So read the chapter. So the chapter is important. The chapter will focus more on printing, like print access, like print servers on a domain, so stuff like that. So make sure you do read the chapter, the textbook chapter reading that I have on Blackboard, because that's going to help prepare you for the actual exam. This is more hands-on, so when you do go into the workforce, you're familiar with so like servers, so like Windows Server, and playing around with the features. And yeah, so I will see you guys 2 weeks from now. So because remember, next week is spring break, and then the following week we will get back to it with the YouTube videos, with the regular homework assignments and readings. Alright, so I'll see you guys then.